Welcome back to Practically Pastoring and Happy New Year. We're going to do a little bit of a different episode today. Instead of answering questions from our Facebook group or from the Pastors Reddit, I want to ask questions to these three men who are on the show right now. I'm here next to me in the Safety Harbor Community Church library and office. Andrew Larson's here.
It's just my office.
Up in Baltimore, Maryland, we have Jeffrey
It's
Simpson.
lost Monday. The Ravens are out. It's sad.
That is like the opposite of what Tim says. It's not Victory Monday. All right. And then down in his man cave with his brewski, it looks like we got Delmar P.
Energy drink in the morning, boys.
Energy drinks in a cozy is a choice.
Hold on. You're calling it a cozy?
It's a cozy.
For sure, a koozie.
Oh,
Koozie.
in Cuba, we call it cozies. So
Hey, you know what? A Build the Kingdom koozie that's black with white ink would totally beat. That would slap. I'm just saying.
In the reform circles with all the
Throw
With
a
your
Busch
hat.
Light in
It would
there?
match your
Yeah,
hat.
baby.
hey, don't do ministry alone. This is Practically Pastoring. All right. So what I want to do is kind of like a 2026 forecast episode. Not in a way that's weird, like we're predicting if Jesus is coming back and it's going to be in the world in 2026.
4 trends that will shape your church in
We're invading
2026.
Chile next.
Subscribe
Oh,
here.
not that.
Oh my God. But what I want to do is talk about like you guys, like personally for you in your church. I feel like, you guys will say stuff and talk about stuff that's probably relatable to everyone who listens. So I want to start with this first question. Jeff, I want you to answer first. What do you think will be the biggest pressure point for you and for all of you guys in 2026? So what is the thing that like you feel like is maybe quietly crushing you, or maybe it's crushing other pastors, that if you ignore it, it's going to be a really big problem?
I don't know about quietly crushing me, but I know the biggest pressure point that I'm already starting to feel a little bit is just being able to delegate things better and be a little more strategic. So I'm in a smaller church, and there's a new kind of crowd of people that are around. The congregation has kind of changed over, especially the last 5 years or so. And so now there's people who are a little more gung-ho about different things than the congregation was before. And so the things that they're a little more energetic about are the things that I've been kind of doing. And so learning how to let go of those things and let other people lead those and take over those and be creative with those, I think will be a pressure point for me. So I would just say delegation, and then also kind of tied with that, and this may come back up again in another point, but just kind of strategic thinking. So I can very easily fall into the week to week rut where I'm not thinking very, very far out ahead. And so that's something I'm going to try to change this year. And that's kind of a pressure point that I can tell is looming. And it's kind of grinding on some of my control stuff that I can tell that I have. So Andrew can probably relate to this a little bit, but even down to things like, our coffee area, people are bringing in cups and K-pods and all this stuff for the coffee, which is awesome, but it doesn't all match. And it's not the kind that I would normally get. And that kind of stuff, not just with the coffee, but with other things too, can kind of grind on me. So I'm having to learn to let go of some of that and cast vision better and delegate some of that stuff.
I think as far as our church is concerned, I think we're going to still contend with the space issue. I see that coming up for us. We're kind of dealing with some space issues right now. We keep hitting the peak of the room. It feels crunchy and then it goes back down. We don't really want to go to 2 services for reasons that many of you already know. And we really don't want to build because we're a debt-free church. And when you're a debt-free church, you can do things that non-debt-free churches can do. So meeting with the elders and discussing what that looks like, I think is important. Also, my role in our church as family pastor, it's solidifying more. This is one of these roles, the more you put in the time, the more respect you get. When you step into student ministry, it's kind of like lead pastor. When you jump into a lead pastor role, you don't automatically have all the congregation's respect. You might have their respect, but not their trust. Well, I've gained the trust. So now having just to form into a full family systems where everything is intercommunicating and everything, which means that some of the people who work in children's ministry, the leaders, there's just going to have to be some like leadership alignment. And anytime you deal with volunteers and leadership alignment, that's always fun. So that's something I see coming down the pipe for us.
The pressure point that this has kind of been looming in the back of my head for the past couple months is balancing contentment. I said this to you before we got started, Frank, and now my brain is completely forgetting what I said. There, hang on, restart. I got it. Contentment versus complacency. And Jeff, when you're saying that I might understand this, I think you might get this as well, because we're in smaller churches. This 2 months from now in March is the 9th anniversary of me being hired here. And so it's kind of like, at this point, this is who we are as a church. Any really big things probably were going to happen at this point, and we're stable, we're healthy, bills are paid, all those good things. But Barna's not showing up to do any studies on us as a church. We're not blowing out walls because we're running out of space. So it's kind of the balancing the contentment of, hey, this is who God has called you to be as a church in the neighborhood that you're in the community that you're in. But also, I don't want to be complacent to be like, hey, well, we're a church of 75, 80 people. This is what we're going to do. So why try to do new and creative things when these are the people that we have, these are the people that we're going to reach? So that struggle between contentment and complacency is one that's kind of been existing in the back of my mind for the past 4 or 5 months. And then, Frank, when you sent this question out, that was the first thing that popped up, is something that I really want to be hyper aware of going into this new year and this season of ministry, because I want to be content and I don't want to be complacent. And sometimes those things are at tension with each other. And if I don't acknowledge that tension, I think I can get myself into some real trouble if I slip too far one way or the other.
When Jeff was talking, it made me realize that for the past few episodes, I haven't really talked much because I feel like I'm in a different, weird stage in ministry that some of the questions and content I can't squarely answer or fit. But now that I'm in this trajectory towards launch, and I've had a few meetings with my entire launch team, which we're about 50 people. So it feels like a small church already.
Hey,
some of the
don't offend
pace
me.
of no, what I was trying to say is I kind of feel the weight of pastoring that you two feel, because it's kind of at the same size right now, and it's getting to you guys' size. And so I'm already meeting with people. There's already pastoral care things. I've already done 5 hospital visits. It's been interesting in this seat where I'm in, but there's this unique thing, I think, in the pre-launch phase of a church plant where I'm overwhelmed with my own ideas of what I want to do, and then I'm trying to have so many productivity tools to try to accomplish everything. I have a
That's
Trello
what I was
board.
talking about with
I have
strategic. I have struggled.
Yeah,
with the same
yeah.
thing.
I have all these things of okay, I know I don't want to. I'm using Calendly to make sure I can just quickly get people on my calendar. I spent an hour working on Calendly to make sure that it doesn't double book or affect other stuff.
And the color scheme matches the website.
Bro, the
Yeah.
temptation to spend more
there's a lot
time
of
on the tool
efficiencies.
than what the tool is supposed to help you do is huge for me.
There's a lot of times where as I'm investigating productivity tools, I realize if I need to spend a lot more time on this, I'm not going to use this tool. So I'm just going to stop using this tool and just try to figure out what's the simpler option right now. But I made a link tree for the church plan because there's so many events and I want it to be accessible quickly. And I spent way too much time playing with them. What's the right? Should I put this event before this event? It's I don't think people care that much. But there's so many ideas I have, so much work to be done. And then you said this, Jeff. You're I'm starting to get overwhelmed with not so much of I know what needs to be done, but how do I hand this off to other people? How who do I choose? I'm nervous that even this past Sunday at Lakeview, a volunteer came up to me who's not coming with me to the church plant, was talking about they feel like they're on the edge of burning out. And I'm like, I don't want to burn out any of my people that
Mhm.
are volunteering. So how do I balance all that and stuff like that? And so there's this, like, I'm sure you guys feel this. There's this delicate balance of, like, you need to delegate, but you also don't want to give volunteers too much that your greatest volunteers will, like, leave you or burn out. And everyone has a different metric of burnout. So I think I'm in this season of, like, I don't know where that line is of, like, how much I should be delegating, what I should delegate, who I should choose to delegate, versus how much time should I be working on productivity tools. Like, I praise God that, like, I'm playing a church in the era of ChatGPT, because there's a level of efficiency that
Mhm.
I've been given that I think previous pastors don't have, and I think you guys too.
Oh yeah,
But even then, though, ChatGPT is not going to
disciple your people.
yeah, it's not going to go to the premarital counseling thing I'm going to do right after this.
Yeah.
So, like, I need to
There's
figure
another,
out,
like
these-
speaking about tensions, like there's another tension between, like, you know, the saying, you move with the movers. You know, like you like go with the people that want to go with you. But then there's also the tension of, like, you can move with them so much because you're full time at this and they're a volunteer and they have another career in a life, that you can do exactly what you said. And like you can easily flip from healthy delegation into giving somebody so much stuff to do, like they're a staff member when they're not, that they then burn out, and then they're not. So, like, you could give your elders so much stuff to do that they end up overdoing that and neglecting their family, and now they're not qualified to be an elder anymore biblically. And that can happen. Whether so, it's like there's this tension between move with the movers and then, like, wisely not having too much to do. And I remember, like, Comer's book about hurry. You know, there's, like, this idea of, like, there's a level of work that's healthy, and then beyond that it's busy stuff. And that's where, like, you talking about the productivity tools, I can find a million ways to keep myself busy for 40 hours or 50 hours or whatever, but not all of it is actually productive for, like, leading the church. One of the most productive things I can do as a healthy leader is to be quiet and, like, still and listen for God's voice. And that doesn't feel productive, but it actually is, because I'm a healthy leader, and, like, the health of the leader trickles down.
And I think you're in a season where the Crossing Crown is moving from your church to a collective our church.
Yeah.
Now, not us, but you have people that, hey, this is their church. And so these things that have existed in your brain for forever, or since God started to put this idea of planting in your brain, well, now somebody else's vision matters towards that for the first time. And it's not just about what you want it to look like and what you want it to feel like. It's kind of like the coffee mugs. It's like, there's a lot of things that I would like to be a very specific way. And I think one of the advantages that Jeff and I have in being in smaller churches is that there's probably more of a comfort level that some bigger churches don't have, where people are comfortable bringing their stuff in and, like, hey, this is who we are, all welcome. And in a church plant, you kind of have to balance that. Hey, here's where I think we're going to be 2, 3, 4 years from now. But right now, this is where we are. And it sounds a bit exhausting. I will take my established normal sized church with our existing building.
Yeah, everybody talks negative about having things that you've always done, but there is a beauty in that too. There is, like, a security and a safety, and this is the way we do things.
And I think one of the things I love about you, Frank, is that you're, like, super creative, biblically based, and you got a hard work ethic.
Well, 2 for 3.
Yeah, and but I think one of the things we know that, a pastor tends to, or any leader tends to set the pace of the church. But I imagine even in a church plant, it's even more so. It's like the influence a parent has over their toddler versus the influence their parent has over their 40-year-old child. Like you have a lot of influence because you're dripping all of the vision and the creative sauce into this church from the Lord. So, like, I feel that weight on you in this next year. And I think that, like, restraint, just knowing you, I feel like some pastors need to practice pushing and some need to practice restraint to find their balance. And I think sometimes that I feel you don't want to overwork your people. The good thing about you is that you don't mind working yourself. And I'm guilty of that too. I don't want to overwork. Some of my leaders at church last night got on me because I went and did a project, and they're like, we would have liked to help. And I was like, I didn't want to call you over Christmas break. They're like, this is who we are. You're
Yeah.
you're our leader. So if you're the leader, you're going to be attracting people like you, especially in this infancy. So, I feel like push, birth the baby.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like one of the
I had an
hardest things to
executive-
make decisions on is not necessarily who's going to do these 50 things that need to get done. How can I delegate? But the actual hard decision and why you're in the seat that you're in is, do we actually need to do all 50 of these things or not? And that's like where the real difficult, like, man, this is a great idea, but we don't actually have to do it right now. We can not do this right now because we don't have the resources. And like that, you don't want to operate at the very edge of your limits. That's how you burn volunteers out. That's how you go over budget. That's how you want to operate within wisdom. And then like you have that tension that Andrew was talking about. Is this complacency, or am I satisfied with where God has us and I want to be wise and be the healthiest version of who we are? Or am I just afraid of pushing further and seeing what God wants to do? Just like ministry is just full of tensions.
It just requires an abundance of wisdom. That's so much. This is like the pocket of wisdom. That's going to actually be my prayer for Frank this year, is just a lot of wisdom, because that is a lot of what do you give, what do you take.
Speaking of wisdom, we have a conference coming up where a lot of wisdom will be shared. Delmar, can you tell us about the Practically Pastoring Conference that's happening real soon?
All right. Quick break. If you listen to this show, man, I wish I had actual pastor friends who were doing this back in the day. But we're doing Practically Pastoring Conference. And this is not a hype conference. There's no fog machine, no 7 streams of revenue breakout. It's just a room full of pastors who are in the trenches, trying to love their people, preach the Bible, and not lose their minds in the process. So here's the thing. If you just want a few days of clarity, encouragement, and the kind of conversation that makes you feel like a human again, bring you down to earth a little, well, I want to encourage you to check out practicallypastoring.com, and we'll get back to the episode.
February 9th to the 11th. So we're literally almost a month away. And go to practicallypastoring.com/conference, and you can see, dude, there's
5 weeks.
Can we talk about who, like, this is the first year we're announcing who's going to be speaking.
Yeah.
And like, I'm very excited. Andrew, can you share who the main, like not the main speaker, because we don't really have a main speaker, but
we've got 4 like big plenary. All of our sessions are plenary. This is not big enough that we've got, hey, for this breakout or this breakout, but we've got 4 pretty big sessions. So first is Tim Wildsmith. If you don't know Tim Wildsmith, you've apparently not been on the internet in the past few years, but he is a buddy of ours from back in Download Youth Ministry days, and he runs the biggest Bible review blog on the internet.
Amazing.
That became a real thing. He's now got,
you might have seen his review of the Trump Bible.
Dude, gonna be the most calming voice plenary session you've ever been to.
I
can't wait.
It's very relaxing.
I remember sitting at a table, Frank, with you, me, and him at like a little food court thing in California.
Oh yeah.
And having just one of these deep, meaningful conversations when you and I knew each other some, but not
About
like
the Trump
this.
Bible?
And he and I, no, this is before any of this.
It was the Obama Bible.
And it was just like one of these, hey, this guy gets it. So he's out of Nashville. He's coming down. Then we've got Chad Williams. He's here in Clearwater, and he's got a session on discipleship that he's going to do for us about making disciples, what it looks like for the church to make disciples. One of my good buddies, Adam Powers, is talking about biblical eldership, and he's in Newport Richey, a little bit north of where Lakeview is. And then Jeff Bachman, our final session. Jeff Bachman is another, just one of these really smart ministry minds, and he is now one of the bigwig headhunters for Vanderbloemen Search Group, and he's going to be talking about, hey, when it's time to make that tough call. And I think we've all been there. Fortunately, none of us are in that season right now, but we all know what it's like to be in that season when you're saying, hey, God, what's next? What do I do? I don't want to abandon these people, but I feel the tension of a pull. And so Jeff's got a session on that. So we've got 4 main sessions and then a whole lot of fun in between, and you will definitely want to be here for it.
So February 9th to the 11th, there's still time to sign up. If you want a code, Jeff Hates
Still
AI is still available, and you can get a little discount there. All right, second question, Delmar. I want to start with you, and then the rest of the crew can answer. What's one ministry play that used to work, but will stop working in 2026? Name something churches or your church keeps doing that you used to produce results, but now it's maybe time to do something different.
Okay, I've been in this church. I will just call it the come and consume model, where everything's put out for you, and we're just going to conveniently give you everything. And why it's not working now is because, and you guys already know this, we live in like a super oversaturated, stimulated world, where if you're trying to find entertainment at church, you can literally just sit at home on your phone and find that now. So what we're seeing in churches, and I know this is anecdotal, but there's also data to back it up. People are not coming just to consume anymore. They're not content coming and being spoon-fed, easy, happy meal church. They want to actually get involved. That's why I think right now for Frank, it's such a good time to be a church planter. Oh my gosh, because the church as a whole is getting more engaged and more involved. So I think that this impacts a lot of areas. For example, your church live stream is not, I mean, it might be necessary for like your shut-ins and stuff, but people want to go to church if they're going to go to church now. Students are not looking to come to church to eat the donut off the string covered in chocolate. They want to hear actual content.
I love that donut.
I mean, donuts are good.
What?
I'm just saying.
On a string?
Yeah, you tied on.
You never played that
come
game?
and consume, baby.
Donut on
Come
a
and
string?
consume. But that's kind of the thing. I'm not saying your church
not
should never
knocking
give
it.
away. No, I love donuts. I'm not saying your church should never give away another T-shirt. But what I'm saying is, like, I do think it's important for us to realize we've made a turn in a culture, and I think one of you have said this on the podcast elsewhere. The Christian church in America may get smaller, but it is getting stronger. It is leaning out. It's in cutting phase, if you want to call it that. So I think that if you just take that mindset, kill the come and consume, it's going to affect social media, greeting team, the way you preach. It's going to impact the way your sanctuary is set up, what you call your people. I've been in churches where they call the pastor the chief leader. I've been in a church where they call the pastor the head content creator. That kind of stuff is going away, and to the glory of God. And I think that it's good for
architect. That's what I am.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, I think for me, you said just bring one to the table. I think that's one, but I think if you blanket that over your church and say, let's move away from that, I think it's going to impact every ministry, every area, and every budget.
We I'm the donut on the string thing can go. I'm just hoping that eating pudding through a sock.
So no giving away donuts, but yes, giving away Chick-fil-A sandwiches, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
gosh.
sure. All right. My thing is actually I got this idea from Jeff, because Jeff, as he constantly does, gently rebuked me a couple months ago, and I remember I was talking about
Can't wait to
like
hear what I
email
said.
marketing, and Jeff was like, "Why are you emailing your people? Just text them." And so this is like a real practical advice. I've been like talking about doing a lot of research on productivity stuff, looking into like Glue and like other like texting services, and in the short time that we've been doing it, between like launch team communication and some like marketing things for the public, it has exponentially been beneficial over email. And so like I haven't eliminated email from my workflows and stuff like that, but being a texting first position, I think is the move. So I guess to answer the question, and the answer to the question the way I'm asking it is, I think email marketing is not something that necessarily we should be like putting so much effort and weight in, when you can get, if you want to use this term, way more ROI through text messages.
And I would even say,
because
like,
it's just like,
and we've been talking about, I mean, this has been a thing for a few years now. This is not new, but like making graphics and like cool looking email headers and stuff, like nobody cares. It literally is just me wanting to do something creative for no reason. And like our texts go out, they're just plain text. It's literally plain, maybe an emoji in there. And I have somebody that does that now that's like actually an expert at communications. And she has talked to me about like, we don't need to put graphics on things, and we don't need to, like, I made her a video of like a video update for church, and I like got the lighting right, and I put like used my actual camera, and she was like, no man, I need you to just like hold your phone and walk around and make just like like your like day in the lifestyle. Hey church, I'm doing this, it's Thursday morning, and and like I did that, and it was way better, it was way faster. And so like totally with what you're saying, Frank, it's like simple is better. And it kills me to say that as a person who's been into making graphics and fonts and all that stuff. But the reality is that's the way it is.
I think actually in a more meta way to talk about this the current form of communication that's successful kind of democratizes communication for churches. So like you can make plain emails, like no graphics, just straight up like just write an email, maybe bold something, but like
dude,
that's
and like
it.
how many Instagram posts do I see that's literally a screenshot of the Notes app?
Of the Notes
and
app,
it kills.
And, I think like this is the benefit, like the current world we live in, where we don't like Canva is great because it's free for churches. You don't even need to use it that much anymore, because in terms of communication, simplicity and minimalism is actually not what people want. It's all they care about. Like that's all they need. They don't need more.
I think it still matters in the room. I think it still matters in the room, like on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
You
know what I mean? Like you can't have like plain text on the screens.
Your sermon graphic shouldn't be black screen, white text.
For communication, like nobody and like links and stuff, they don't need to be like a button. They can just literally be the text.
Yeah. I will say, I don't know how like culture setting John Mark Comer's church, Bridgetown Church, is going to be or was, but like when I went to Portland and visited his church, it was very much a black background, white text, like, and it was very like from the songs to the sermon, it was like not a lot of graphics,
just like color wash lights.
And like, and this,
I was just gonna say something we've done to kind of capitalize on that. Not really. I hate to use the word capitalize, just to shift to where our people are.
Frank already said marketing, so I mean,
there we go. Well, when I speak, especially like if it's to families or students, I no longer have PowerPoint. I have a person who's very good at writing. I put a whiteboard down in front of me on the floor, and the notes they would normally write in their book, they write on the whiteboard while I'm preaching. I'm going to tell you what, if there was one thing that I accidentally stumbled into this past year that made the biggest difference, it's that. Because if you're preaching and people look off, they're going to look at the person writing on the board, and it's just literally handwriting. It's not like the first couple of weeks I felt guilty not, laboring over a PowerPoint or a keynote or whatever, but I didn't have to. This student I would give, or this person I would give my notes to, they look at my notes early, they write, this is the point, they draw a line to the next point. It's fantastic. And that is like 100% like low effort, but like maximum output. And it engages everyone. Like, I don't know. I've gotten a lot of unsolicited positive feedback from that.
That's cool. That's like the preacher's version of the live
Frank's
painting
talking about
that worship bands used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so.
When Frank was talking about the democratizing of communication, it's the pendulum shift. When COVID happened, there was this rush to get everybody to be able to live stream. I mean, Jeff, you are using your iPhone as your webcam right now, and it looks fantastic. The technology has changed so that anybody and everybody can be a multi-site televangelist. And because we've got the best tech is not that impressive anymore, now it's who can get the message out the fastest that's the most impressive. And so that makes things a lot easier for smaller churches who are more streamlined. You don't have to go through a communications director
Watching
anymore.
like a Hillsong United documentary, and they were talking about the cameras they use to make their videos, and like They had like a stack of hard drives, and it was terabytes of. And I was just like, my mind was blown in my little church. Back as a youth leader, like, what can we do to get And it's just like none of that matters now. It's crazy how, like, the way we've come full circle.
And then one of the Hillsong campuses that now has a new name had a video that went viral this weekend, and it was like a TikTok video of, hey, here's the one thing, and then it was just like the transition was the hand swipe.
Oh.
And that was it. So this church that used to say, hey, we're going to do a 12 shot on, $100,000 worth of cameras and then a full team of editors now has one person on an iPhone.
Well, there
for
was
the same impact.
I think it was Church in the Highlands was actually talking about how, and like Church of the Highlands is like a massive multi-site church, like that's in like I think Alabama. Yeah, and they said that they've been starting to instruct their production team to lower the lighting transitions, like to make the production less in their services, because the trend is less production, and that's actually a bigger trend in larger attractional churches. They're realizing that the attractional, Carrie Newhoff has been talking about this, the attractional model has failed or it's failing, and so now they're trying to go back to reading the Bible. And so that sounds too harsh. I'm not trying to be that critical, but like to lower the production to make it more like present in the room. Delmar, what's up?
I just want to with Carrie Newhoff and his squad, attractional ministry has failed. So now they found out that this organic, non-effort looking ministry is attracting more people. So the new attractional ministry is actually just doing it organically. It's the same. It's a reskinned zombie. Okay. You got to be really careful that the reason you're being real and authentic with your people is that you're being real and authentic with your people, not as some fake reskinned seeker sensitive model to get more people who think they're getting something that you care nothing about. You just want the butts and the bucks. This is coming. This is going to come into the church. Okay. It's already
spicy.
present.
I like it.
I'm already getting ads. Here's 5 ways to be more authentic with your people.
I've seen it too.
I will say that's from hell, okay? And I just want to affirm that. I want to say it. It's from hell just as much as the seeker-sensitive model. And people I'm sorry. You're working me there. You're working me there.
No, okay, relax. Take a deep breath. Okay, here's the thing. Can I be a little bit more optimistic on what's happening?
You can be whatever you want to be.
What if the attractional churches are seeing that their model fails, and it's not that they're becoming more
cynical,
attractional of you. Yeah, instead of saying like, hey, they're just going to be copying other churches to be attractional still, is maybe this is a turn away from attractional to be more of a biblical church because they're changing and maybe they're transitioning out of that. I don't know if we need to be as cynical.
Have they repented? That's what I want to know. Have they publicly repented and say they're putting that away? I think that there is a mass, I think that they're fooling a lot of people. And I think they're going to start writing music again soon. It's going to be very organic. I feel like they're going to be selling packages and programs that make you feel more relational. All right, time will tell on this one. And time will tell. I think that's the way. I don't think these pastors,
because I'll be just focused on my church.
But I'll be honest. It's kind of like when who's the prosperity preacher with the dreadlocks? You know, talking about the white guy. Oh my. It's like when Tom White,
my bad, Tim
or Benny Hinn got up there and says, "I no longer preach the prosperity gospel. It is not from
white
God."
Wow.
Whatever.
Wow.
Bro, it's 2025. I can accent whatever I want.
6.
I'm just saying. It's 2026. There you go.
26.
But that's kind of the thing.
I can accent whatever.
These pastors, they do posture, and we have to be careful. You know, I'm guilty of this. That's part of the reason I'm speaking this way is because I have fallen for this. Okay, this is not me speaking as some holier than thou. Like, I thought Kanye took a turn back in the day. Okay, so I've fallen for it. So I just think we need to be careful.
The dots that are connecting right now are wild.
Bro, I'm just rock star energy drink.
The question that was asked. The question was,
went from
what are you
to
giving
Kanye
up?
West, bro? That was wild.
That's actually not that distant.
I
That's not that
think
far. That's actually a pretty reasonable transition.
I think the answer is I'm giving up what works for other churches and focusing on my church.
That's the best
Like,
answer.
hey, you know what? Here, and yes, anecdotally, I can take some thoughts from a thought leader and maybe apply it to my context, but they're not in my context. So why would I be trying to do something that works in a major metropolitan area church in a neighborhood church? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So forget trying to super program like the church, down the street or wherever. But also, Frank, you and I went and visited a church a couple months ago that was incredibly programmed out, and they're flourishing. So we could talk about, whatever it may be. Know your context.
Yeah.
Know your context. Pastor your context. Don't try to pastor a church that God hasn't placed you in.
I see a parallel a lot between coaching and pastoring in terms of, like, in this conversation, in terms of this. I see a lot of some of the coaches that I have worked with or other coaches that I know, you will see that they are, a lot of times they're looking on social media for the next drill or the next, like, practice plan that's going to, like, make everything awesome. And it's like you're watching a coach of players that has been with them for years, and maybe they're like years older than the players that you're coaching, and you think if we do this drill and then this drill and then this drill, then my players will look like those players. And that's just not the reality. Like, development in sports doesn't work that way, and spiritual formation doesn't work that way either. And I think the key is that if you're spending all your time looking at what other pastors are doing online, what you're not doing is spending your time with people in your neighborhood and people in your church and knowing them and what makes them tick. And also, you're then not being influenced and grown and discipled by your people. You're not immune from being discipled by the people in your church, people that you might view as needing more discipleship. They're like baby Christians. Yeah, but they have the Holy Spirit, and they can disciple you when you spend time with them. And so if you're just spending your time looking for the magic bullet online that doesn't exist, you're actually missing what will actually get you development in your spiritual life and in your people. And you're missing leadership development. You're missing all kinds of stuff because you're just trying to, like, find the magic bullet, and it doesn't exist.
Yeah, not a hot take, but I just want to affirm both of those things together, because, Andrew, what you just said, I think every pastor needs to write that in their office. Pastor your own church. And then, Jeff, pastor your own, allow your own church to lead you at times, because a lot of you have probably witnessed or either been a part of, like, imputing other ministry onto your ministry.
Yeah.
How well did that work out? Like, ministry needs to be drawn out of the ministry that you serve. Like, God is building them into something, right? And it's not us just, like, imputing other systems and other programs. The church stealing model, I think, is waning. And I think that's why these people are having to pay more money to put the ads in Facebook, because we're not going to them anymore.
And if you're coming into an existing church, I mean, this applies a little bit, Frank, to you with planting, but more for a congregation that's already existed. God was already doing stuff in them before you showed up. You ain't like the hero that's going to ride in and make everything perfect. So I think, you have to let go of some of that.
There's a reason that whether your person is Jared Wilson or Andy Stanley or whatever church guru's books you're buying, there's a reason that they're not writing about what they've taken from another church. They're successful because they are pastoring the people that God has entrusted to them, and that's why their books are compelling, because they're writing about a unique congregation in a particular context that they are ministering to. And so if you try to minister like Wilson or Stanley or fill in the blank, whoever's new popping up 5 years from now, it's not going to work. You need to pastor the church that God has put you in.
I've heard it said pastoring is God's leadership packaged in a human personality. And I think that like, we don't need to sacrifice who we are to lead the way God's called us to lead.
Well, listen, speaking of marketing, speaking of fonts that I used to love, if your church T-shirts still have Birth of a Hero, you need to update your church merch. And this episode is brought to you by Church
Classic.
Merch. And we know a lot of your merch might be cringe. You might be still having like Spirit written in the Sprite font on your church shirts. Don't do that. Okay. If your shirts look like they're leftovers, youth 2007 box of shirts, Church Merch can help. They make sweet, clean designs that people will actually want to wear in public. It's hoodie season right now where I live. Hoodies are awesome. T-shirts are still awesome too for where you guys are. I mean, Delmar, it's hoodie season, I think, for you as well. You guys down in the deep south, beyond the south in Florida, really. T-shirt season is pretty much every day of the year. Church Merch can help you with that. Whether you need guest packets, like first-time guest gifts, volunteer shirts, you need a shirt for a specific event, or you just want something cool that doesn't scream like Miss Betty from The Office made this design. Go check them out, promotionsguy.com/church
No
merch.
clip art.
No clip art. That would be a funny t-shirt. promotionsguy.com/church merch.
Jeff, I would love to start this question with you, but Delmar deleted the question, so let me.
Did I really?
Gosh, what is going on? Yes, I don't. What?
Edit, undo.
Sorry, I was
let me
putting it
answer.
in my
If-
thing, and I hit.
The question is, if you could only focus on one thing this year, what would it be? To which I'm just going to echo what we've been saying for the past 25 minutes. I would focus on my church, my people. It would be relational. It would be discipleship. And it would be spending my time on depth instead of breadth. You know, I can go deeper a lot easier than I can go wider. And so pour into the people that want to be poured into, spend time with the people that want to
Move
be
with the
discipled,
movers, baby.
and let that overflow. Don't try to cast a net that reaches everybody.
I think the way I would answer this is with two kind of like little proverbial quips, if you will. One is I need to focus on doing what only I can do, which means I need to really understand what my role is in the congregation as the senior pastor, as the person in this congregation who has the most training, the most experience in doing this role. I need to do what only I can do. And I like to talk about how I get trapped in the let me just do this real quick disease, or like fallacy, which is where I know I have these strategies to work on. And this is where I think I have like some undiagnosed ADHD or something, because at the beginning of a day, if I'm thinking of a day, I will make a list in my head that is got way too much stuff on it. There's no way I'm going to accomplish all that in a day. And I know that now, 10, 15 years into being in this kind of position, but I still get caught in the trap of it. And so I'll prioritize it. And then I'll find myself throughout the day, if I don't write it down, physically write it down as a list and like really stick to it, I find myself throughout the day going, let me just handle this real quick. Let me just go take care of this real quick. I'll walk by something that needs to be done and I'll just go handle it real quick, because as a blessing, God has made me like not afraid to fix things and do all kinds of different skills, which I'm not a master at many of them, but I'm okay enough at all of them that I'll like, I'm not afraid to like fix an electrical outlet or change a light bulb, and all those things are great, but there's other people that can do those things. What other people can't do is preach 48 weeks a year. That's what I need to do. What other people can't do is show up in the hospital room as the senior pastor with that title and that role in that person's life. So I need to focus on only doing what I can do, or doing the things that only I can do, which is thinking strategically, sitting in quiet, listening for the voice of God for our congregation and what it looks like for the future. Prepping sermons and preaching sermons, teaching well. All those things are the things that I need to focus on, and then I need to learn how to let go of the other things. And if they don't happen, they don't happen.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to be focusing a lot of my energy on discipleship this year. I think sometimes that we throw that word around and we use it because we know that's what we're called to do. But like real discipleship, as you guys know, is very taxing. It requires working around your schedule more because people have jobs during the day. It requires more thoughtfulness. And sometimes as a pastor, I just get into a zone and forget to be thoughtful. It requires more difficult conversations. So it requires more energy. So if I'm going to expend the energy I have, I think it's best spent on the people that I've been charged to care and love with. So some of our programs are shifting. Like our Sunday morning, one of our groups is going from a group. We've changed the whole room. We've put up tables, and we're going to have young people sitting with old people having conversations for an hour every Sunday for the next 4 months. And that's going to be like their person. Not really what you would call like small group. I guess you could call it that, but they're just having coffee or hot chocolate or whatever. Because true discipleship is more than me as one pastor can like do. It's something that has to be done. It has to be taught. Disciples make disciples. That's part of our church. So a lot of my effort is going to be into like forming disciples who then go and make disciples. I'm starting a discipleship group this Friday, and part of the rules, there's 2 rules. One, that you can't miss, because we can't do this with everybody, so you can't miss. If there's a death in the family, we understand that. Number 2 is after a couple months, you have to go and replicate this same group with at least another person or 2. This is not a stagnant group. It's a group that's meant to make waves and wakes. So my hope one day is that these few people that are meeting in my group, that I walk into a local coffee shop and I see multiple wakes of them meeting. So that requires a lot of energy and a lot of planning. So that's what's going to get a lot of mine this year.
The thing I'm going to cut and focus on is I'm going to focus on getting you guys to, I'm going to lock this document so you guys can't delete anything. And then that way.
Why is that plural?
He's trying not to single me
I'm
out.
just messing with you guys. All right. I'm just messing with you.
Thank you.
Well, this last question, Andrew, I would love for you to start. And so then we can wrap up the show after this. What are you personally changing in 2026 so that you can last? And let me just say something. You're looking very skinny.
You know, that's part of it. Prioritizing some health issues.
You look really good.
I'm working at it. The thing that jumped out to me with this is just my idea of rest. I've been really spoiled the past couple of years. I had a sabbatical about 14 months ago, where I had been looking forward to it for a couple of years. And then this past November, I was back over in the UK for some classes that I was taking. And so I've kind of been treating this, whether it be rest or study breaks, as a reward at the end of a stick. Like, hey, if I can get to that point, then I get to experience rest. And maybe it's because I don't have anything big on my schedule coming up, and I don't have any big exciting trips planned or anything like that I get to reward myself with. But that's not, I live here though. I live here. I'm not traveling to it, but I don't have, I don't have a sabbatical on the schedule, or I don't have anything like that, that where I have a season of rest on the schedule. I think rest needs to be something that's becoming a daily pursuit, if not a weekly thing. And instead of treating it like a reward for a job well done, I'm going to start treating some rest and some personal health things as, no, this is necessary to sustain my ministry going forward. This is not the icing at the end of the cake. This is the essential ingredient to make it necessary for me to continue to minister.
Cake,
and so listen, my wife was eating the last of the Christmas tree cakes last night, and I said, no, I'm done. I don't want any Christmas tree cakes. It was a lie. I wanted one, but I didn't have one. And so they are, with sprinkles.
So good. Though.
And so I think some intentional boundaries need to be put up, and that's tricky. I've got 4 boys at 4 different schools. I coach, I teach. I've got a lot of different plates spinning in the air. And so that might look different from one week to another, but the seasons of, hey, taking care of myself is not the reward at the end of the day. It is what's necessary so that I can do the ministry that I've been called to, is just a different approach that I think is necessary going into this next season of ministry. Like I said earlier, my 10th year at Safety Harbor starts in March. And in that new decade, there's some different priorities I think that are going to need to take shape. as my family has changed, my ministry has changed as I've taken on some different roles and things like that. And so pursuing rest as a daily and weekly occurrence instead of one big block of time that I get every couple of years just isn't going to make sense anymore.
Yeah, for me, it's two things that are both kind of a re-up of old things, but one is the same with exercise, physical, fitness a little bit. Today was like day one of lifting weights again with a buddy of mine, and we got back to hitting it hard, but it also includes like the way I'm eating and what stuff I'm putting in my body. So trying to be a little more mindful about that. And some of my coaching stuff is like a motivator for me. So, I coach baseball, which means I got to be able to throw batting practice. I got to be able to hit ground balls to guys. So I put a batting cage up at my house for guys to use, for my daughter to use for softball. But also I get out there at least like 5 times a week, and I'm usually, hitting a bucket of balls in the cage to practice that, but also gets me a little cardio, gets me moving. So trying to get 10,000 steps in this year every day as often as I can. So, ask for a watch for Christmas that will track that stuff. So just trying to put things in place that help me to move. I'm really thinking about playing in a men's league for baseball this coming like spring into summer, which I'm not sure about, but I'm gonna see if that can materialize. Some of that is because of the games are on Sundays and stuff, but that will also be a motivator for me to get out and do some sprint workouts and do some things that are good for me in the long run. And so kind of like what Andrew was saying is like that those things are not a reward. That's how I become the kind of person who lives a disciplined life, who is a healthier leader, who is not as stressed out because I'm able to release that stress with some healthy ways. And then the other thing that I really I just didn't read a lot in 2025. I just got to get back to reading some books. So I've got a stack of books. One of the little things we did at the church that's going to also be kind of like a little bit of a pressure accountability thing for me is we started a book club. So it's just a real low bar entry like, hey, we're going to read a book a quarter. Here's the book we're reading for this quarter. And if you want to jump in, I will, we're going to buy the book and for everybody. And it's just going to be like every few Sundays, we'll just check in for 5 minutes after service. How you feeling about what you're reading? It's not going to be a meeting. It's just a book club, but it was just a way for me to kind of get back to like, I need to just be reading more books, spending less time doom scrolling and more time reading books and being better about my own like mental acuity, my own, like pushing into like intellectualism a little bit more and sharpening that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to reading more books this year.
Yeah. For me, I think what I'm going to be doing, what I'm going to be doing at church is trying to give away more. We've got really good leaders. They're very trustworthy. They're very competent. So that's one of the reasons we've restructured some of our ministries to like give me margin, to not have to always be the one planning and doing. We've been getting better the last couple of years, but really taking that big step. Personally, what I need to be changing this year coming is my wife and I we gotta get out just us more. It seems like we got 3 kids and our last one is finally out of the toddler stage. And when you got little kids, you get used to just like doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? And like you find a time here or there. We really want to like go places and do some things together, and it's a good thing it's a good place to be because it's a feeling of accomplishment that we can let off the gas as far as like always having to be present for like these little ones in that way. But we need to make some margin for that. And then like on a super personal, as the note said, make it uncomfortably specific. I'm going to book less video engagements this year. Cause as we've talked several times about, our side hustles, and this year my side hustle got a hold of me. And this is one thing I'll just tell pastors in general. When you do a side hustle, you do it with excellence, just like you do pastoring. And when you do that, other people notice. So more people want your services, and you need to make sure you put a governor on that. So I'm putting a governor on that this year as far as how many things I book to film.
Well, as I'm in this really interesting season, I won't start having weekly services until we have some like preview practice services in August. So until then, I'm in this interesting situation where I preach once a month at Lakeview till May, and so the Sundays I'm not at Lakeview. My wife and I are visiting a ton of other churches. Part of it is to like almost like gather intel.
There's a
It's
new
more of
sheriff in
like
town, guys.
no, it's more. It's honestly like to get ideas. Like it's funny. I'm planning a church, but I've only been to like 2 church plant services in my entire life. So I want to go to more church plants that are like in mobile settings to see what they're like. But also other churches that like inspire me and like I can get new ideas and stuff like that. But it's gonna be the first time in literally, gosh, 13 years where I haven't had to be at church as the pastor on staff on duty and like be there for all the services. I get to just go to a service. So there's a part of just like being able to just be a congregant for the next few months that's really exciting to us. But part of the things that I want to make sure, because I don't, this is such a peculiar season of life that could really get away from my wife and I. So what we're trying to do is, I told my wife, like, on Sundays when it's just me and her visiting a church, after that church service, we're going to do something. And so, in fact, like I have 2 church plants in Orlando that I know I'm going to go to this year, purposely so I can go to Disney World after her, just with her. And
I love a post-church Disney trip.
yeah. I'm trying to do more
Idolatry.
of those. My wife would never let me. So, but now we have some bandwidth to do it. So we're gonna do that. And I mean, kind of like Jeff, like I didn't read a lot last year. I listened to I listened to a lot of podcasts, but I didn't read. Like I didn't read a ton except for like some required stuff. And I need to read more. I've learned that as if I want to continue to be a learner, podcasts are great, YouTube videos are great, but there's something about books that like you get, like I get a lot of inspiration from. I learn new things in a deeper way, where sometimes podcasts are like white noise that I goes in one ear and not the other. So with that being said, I hope this episode has been helpful for you. Hopefully you've heard from all of us or something that you took to help you consider as you go into your 2026. But with all that being said, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like I don't know what I should be doing next, here's what you should be doing. Step 1, go join our Facebook group. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, join our Facebook group. If you made it this long, if you're already here, go join our Facebook. Second thing is, if you haven't signed up yet, sign up for the Practically Pastoring Conference. The 4 of us are here. Timmy, who's not here, who abandoned us this morning, he's going to be there. And we have a bunch of friends. And Tim Wildsmith, the Bible guy, hopefully he brings like a stack of Schuler Bibles that they give him for free, and just like
we all get a $400 Bible.
Tim gets more Bibles for free, more premium Bibles. He probably has more.
I won one of them.
The wealth of Bibles that he has is probably greater than his
return. Investment.
Like it's so fund. Yeah, because some of those Bibles are like $300-$400, and so they have big yaps and they have gold foil.
The one that I won from one of his contests, he sent me a text. He's like, "Dude, is this your email?" I was like, "Yeah." I didn't even know he was doing a contest. He's like, I did it. One of the giveaways I was doing was for my favorite Bible, and it was you had to be on the email list, and I had signed up way back in the day when he was starting, and so I won, and it was legitimately an $800 Bible.
Wow!
It was more expensive than the 1986 Oldsmobile Calais Supreme I bought myself my senior year of high school.
Almost as expensive as an iPad to put the Bible on. Crazy.
Sure. I know. That is crazy. All right. With that being said, join the Facebook group. Come to the conference. We will see you next week, Lord willing. See ya.